Majo John Madden Juanito in Asheville, North Carolina. I'm in Malaprop's bookstore, one of the great independent bookstores in the country, where I've had so many amazing experiences between 2004 and 2020. I love the rhythm of when they start setting this up for an independent writer to give a talk. And I was starting to tell the barista about a couple of amazing writers I discovered here, but he didn't have time. So I came back to use the bathroom, and I've been by this bookstore several times in the 4 months I've been back in Asheville, but always at times when I had no money to purchase anything, and today I did. So I came back to the bathroom, and I looked at this bulletin board and went, oh shit. My first week, I think, in Asheville in 04, I saw a poster here for a talk by a guy named Carlos Lopez, who at that point was a child psychiatrist at Johns Hopkins and a third-generation student of Ramana Maharshi. And I went to a talk he gave the following Friday. I'm going to walk out of here, and this is the bookstore. Pretty wonderful bookstore where I've spent so many hours during those 16 years. So Carlos Lopez gave an introductory talk in advance of a weekend he was going to do. He had a whole cadre of people who followed him quite closely because he would come periodically to Asheville and do weekend retreats. And he always would do an informational evening. So I went to that informational evening, and here's Malaprop's here. Malaprop's. And he gave a lecture and then opened it up for questions and answers. And at that point in my life, I had come to Asheville in desperation, trying to restart my life because I was hopelessly suicidal. I had been misdiagnosed as bipolar and given terrible drugs and spent 30 years in the throes of that whole experience, which is 5 years over now. 5 years that I've been free of all of that. I don't remember where the lecture happened. It was somewhere downtown. But Carlos, when he threw it up for questions and answers, I gave him a question. I said, this Ramana Maharshi and non-dualism, that there's no such thing as good things and bad things, which is absolutely what I live from these days. Well, I love my upstates and hate my downstates, and I don't know what to do about it. And Carlos gave me a load of words that had people looking at me like, whoa, are you getting more than you bargained for? And I didn't hear any of the words. All I knew was that I felt like I was being loved. I felt in the presence of tremendous love, and this man loves me. So when he wraps it up, he teased himself by saying, in a nutshell. And everybody laughed. But then he looked at me and says, I hope that was helpful. And because I hadn't understood any of the words, I bluffed and said, well, it'll give me a lot to work with. And he giggled, and then he said, I hope not. My wish for you is that you experience moments of deep peace. And that set in motion Ramana Maharshi being the primary teacher of my life and non-dualism being my work. And in the last 5 years, so many moments of deep peace. So many moments, such blessings. And last I heard, Carlos Lopez doesn't teach anymore. He's gone to Arunachala, Ramana Maharshi's sacred mountain, and built himself a little house, and he walks around the mountain the same way Ramana Maharshi did. So I came back from the bulletin board and said to the barista, I said, can I at least tell you the story about Carlos Lopez and the lecture I went to? He says, man, I'm kind of busy right now, and I personally have some banking business that I need to do on the Wi-Fi here, but I couldn't do it without. I said, okay, can't tell the story to him. I need to tell this story. I'm not going to rest without telling this story. So now I go back in and download my banking app and get access to some money. In Asheville, North Carolina. Very, very high place on the planet, and if I had to be any place in the U.S., I want to be in Mexico, where I just lived for 2 years. If I have to be in the U.S., I'll take Asheville. Okay.